Dayanivas sir, respected Prabhat Kumar sir, Babu sir, Jomon sir, and all other 9 branch chairmen. Avalanches start as small trickles, gathers mass and momentum in its flow, and carries mighty force in the end. What has started in Palghat, initiated by CA Vimal Venu, chairman, has now become a mega event drawing in large number of chartered accountants. A high voltage knowledge dissemination system engulfing the entire ICAI machinery in the state of Kerala, meticulously wired by CA Jomon K. George sir, past chairman SIRC, and powered by Babu sir, Central Council member, and geared by CA Roy sir, chairman Ernakulam branch, and shared by all the branches in Kerala. This Navaratna is becoming a unique one. Navaratna is not just a title of an event, but a high target all the branches are striving to be. But I feel that in the end, we will be witnessing more than Adar's Ratnas, more than 20, 2 eminent Ratnas of our profession, adorning each session for 9 days. And again, Babu sir and Jomon sir. It is really very difficult to reach the top of Mount Everest. But it is all the more difficult to be there for a long time. The same applies equally to our profession also. To remain on top, we need a lot of preparations. Our profession's landscape is undergoing drastic and rapid changes. The changing laws, demanding regulators, more and more regulatory mechanisms, issues with information system, corporate management frauds, funding terrorism, etc., to name it. Problems are there with the banking industry, with more and more banks and financial institutions failing one by one in short span of time, with a century-old Lakshmi Vilas Bank, a latest addition to the list. The public expectations is that auditors should detect frauds, and distinction between audit, investigation, etc. may be too technical for the public at large. Financial audit, investigation, and forensic audit are certainly of a different genre. But we need to develop a forensic bent of mind while conducting an audit. We should not be oblivious to the potential of fraud being perpetuated, particularly while reviewing internal financial controls. Auditors have to be alert, sensitive to fraud, and sharpen the skills for fraud detection so that signs of fraud, red flags, are not missed out. Then only we may be able to identify the fraud risk factors specified in SA 240 and the responsibilities of an auditor relating to reason to believe part of section 143(12) of the Companies Act 2013. Today, we have our session chairman, Dayanivas Sharma, Central Council member, who is in the forefront of all the digital initiatives of ICAI. On the behalf of all the 9 branches of ICAI in Kerala, I earnestly welcome you, sir. The faculty of our day, Sri Prabhat Kumar, a chartered accountant and certified fraud examiner, I offer my wholehearted welcome on behalf of the 9 branches of Kerala. Babu sir has promised to be here for a while, and hoping that Babu sir will come eventually. I welcome Babu sir also. I happily welcome Jomon sir, who is always with us. I welcome all the branch chairmen and branch committee members who are eager to see each session turn out well. I have with me our 2 past chairmen of Kottayam branch, CA Josie Thomas and CA Anil P, and I welcome them both also. I welcome all the participants who have joined. Thanking you all. Jai ICAI, Jai Hind. Thank you, sir.
Sir, we can move on to the introduction of the chairman. I think Josie sir is doing it, no?
Yes, yes.
Or to Josie.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Most respected and honorable General Council member, charismatic Babu Abraham Kallivalil, illustrious past chairman of SARC, CA Joman K. George, is most respected chairman of the session, CA Dayanivas Sharma, who is today's very learned speaker, CA Prabhat Kumar, most respected senior members and fellow members in profession, the Navaratnas of Kerala branches, all the chairmen of 9 branches of Kerala, all the committee members, and my dear fellow members in profession. I am much honored to be given the opportunity to introduce the chairman of the 5th day session of All Kerala Virtual CP Conference here, Dayanivas Sharma. It's our fortune that for this Navaratna conference, we have a gem of a person today, a real Ratna, that is CA Dayanivas Sharma. And he will be chairing this session and leading us to the heights of knowledge in forensic audit. CA Dayanivas Sharma started his career in 2005. He was articled with PricewaterhouseCoopers. Then he started a one-man firm and has now grown to 120 plus member team in 15 years. His firm has delivered high quality deliverables to its clients, which include several MNCs, PSUs, and large corporate groups, MSCs. And his motto is, we keep it simple, we make it work. CA Dayanivas Sharma is presently, he was chairman of peer review board, member quality review board, convener members and student services directorate, including SSP, vice chairman digital accounting and assurance board, SBRL India board member of UDIN directorate and digital transformation process re-engineering group, chairman Center of Excellence Hyderabad, member of multiple central committees. CA Dayanivas Sharma is the managing partner of Rashmi Nivas and Company. He got trained under the supervision of partners and senior managers of leading firm, and he has authored articles in multiple areas finance, accounting, taxation, and economics. He will effectively take you through the proceedings, which I am sure will impart a magnificent array of informations for our CA fraternity. And in fact, he is such a fine person that we are getting regular correspondences and wishes from him all through our professional life. Particularly, I must mention we have received his Diwali wishes, and I take this opportunity to thank him for his wonderful wishes. Without further hesitation, I present CA Dayanivas Sharma for this august guardians. Thank you. Thank you all.
Uh, thank you very much, sir. It's indeed one of the most interesting introductions which I have got, and more importantly, with Diwali wishes and the new year which is going to come forward. Tough time never lasts, but tough people do. A couple of months when this corona came in. I hope I'm audible.
There was a bit of a problem, but now it's okay.
Yeah, sorry, because I am sitting in some other location for emergency of our examination only. So just bear with me for the quality of voice and all. Is it fine, Joman?
Now it is fine.
Yeah. So first of all, I think I have lot to owe with Kerala, particularly because of my father's affinity with Kerala as such. From not now, might be from last 30-35 years on a continuous basis. And I'm really getting treated every year from last 12 years in Kerala, and he is the finest person today because of that. Apart from that, one of the finest gentlemen whom I have always called sir is Babu sir, who is like really a guide in me, providing a lot of support every time. I don't have much to say, but yes, one thing is for sure: we all are going to miss him after a year, and his contribution, which has been there, is unimaginable all throughout. Am I audible? His contribution has been there all throughout, and I cannot talk. 25 years giving the peak of life is something, a person him. But I'm unfortunate to see him as a in a top position. But he's always there on the mind of all people, all of us at the national level. How he has contributed, the way education system has been changed under his supervision, the guidance he's given. Even day before yesterday, I had one particular issue where I'm the chairman of a particular activity. He has been a person who guided me all throughout. So, Babu sir, we love you for all the support, affection, guidance, respect, everything you have created for the entire southern India. I'll put it that way, not only for Kerala but entire South India for that matter. And your love and affection, you know it well. You are only Babu sir for me, and you'll continue to be Babu sir. And I have not seen a person like him, who actually, when the last election, when I called Babu sir and asked, Babu sir, Hyderabad, there is no election, should I come to Kerala? He said, you come to Kerala, come to Cochin, I'll host you, I'll introduce. And I was shocked to see him telling that, he's Dayanivas Sharma, he's contesting for election. What best you can do it for him, you do it. Unimaginable, unimaginable. The only word is very few people of that large heartedness have been there in the institute, and this position, I think, unbelievable. Babu sir, you have to continue guiding us all throughout. That's the only request which I have for you. And without you telling, lot of things have been done from my side also for contributing little bit in this conference. But yes, that affinity and affection is always going to be on the top. Followed with, I request the entire Kerala team. I'm sorry, but let me make it very, very prominent to say that the follower of Babu sir has to be Joman. Ensure that he is there. So that is the only request which I have for all you people, to ensure that on right time time right moves have to be made. And Joman is a very dear person and a more knowledgeable person than me, I can say, with regards to the subject matter and many such things. He is a finest gentleman I have seen, always approachable. Friends, I'm taking this opportunity to actually campaign for Joman, because I have to owe back something back to Kerala, because I was being given that kind of treatment by Babu sir. So Babu sir, I am just doing my best to ensure Joman also is following you in the Kerala, and we look forward for all your guidance. That will be more important for all of us. So chairmans, I can only tell you, all 9 chairmans, it's important for you that we make it happen, and having him will be a privilege. I am a neighbor of Babu sir in the council table, so I will have my continuity of Kerala with against as a council colleague. So with this, I congratulate each one of you to ensure that unity stands together. That is something which we all have to understand. United we fall and divided we fall. United we stand and divided we fall is the right statement made by someone. And today this Navaratna conference is nothing but the message of unity which we are giving to the society at large. So Venu, congratulations to you. Varghese sir, congratulations to you to make this thing happen. All the chairmen, my heart full of wishes to ensure that this program goes with complete success. And having Prabhat sir today is unimaginable. Prabhat sir, welcome to South. Rather, I'll not say Kerala. And I belong to the entire region. So welcome to Prabhat sir, because he's one of the finest gentlemen. I met him in during MIA International Conference, and I was getting a little nervous because I was the only speaker in the list of speakers who was visited from Hyderabad, India. I was the only Indian speaker, and because of his just standing next to me, was lot of confidence which was given to me. And fortunately, Kappa has given a letter of appreciation to the president of the institute for my participation. So I'm thankful for him to give that kind of support, sir. All you people make us feel great. You are a person who is actually standing tall. My entire Kerala families, which are there in Dubai and the entire UAE and GCC, the way they they stand strong in Kerala, also Dubai and GCC is unbelievable. So all you people make us feel proud about it. And what more you want? A person like Mr. Prabhat, who is an empaneled exclusive forensic auditor in the entire Malaysian and Singapore matters, is someone who's a speaker today. I would like to just quickly tell a couple of things before I hand over the discussion. I'm actually in the police commissioner office. So Prabhat sir, Joman, you need to continue that session, because again I have we have elections which are there and the examinations are also due. So there is some kind of confusion
We
which
are
is
not
there.
we are not surprised that you are in the police station.
So and that too are the forensic session.
To chair a forensic session from a police station is a very, 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 very special privilege. We are honored.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
one quick thing which I would like to say: what is the change which we have got in the forensic standards? This is something very important. We have introduced a concept called L1 to L5. What is L1 is primarily we have introduced data analytics and forensic in our advanced ITT. That means our new article who's going to get qualified is going to get trained as a forensic auditor from the day one. So he is not going to wait for something. And we have designed this entire thing. I am fortunate to be the person who designed the entire structure. BOS has adopted it and now it is implemented also. So compliments to you all for making me a successful council member in the entire country, and making it moving forward. So L1 is something which is very, very important, where we have introduced from the article level. L2 is for those members who I was thinking Babu sir is senior, but he took the classes and he qualified exam also. So he is a L3 qualified person. So Babu sir, congratulations to you for making it happen in a large manner in that number of, you took out time, and now you are getting ready for the, what do you call, session 2 of your career. So this is something very good. L2 is for those members who are actually seniors who do not want to take examination. So they'll get to know the entire lecture and they'll understand the concept. L3 is a certification which we all as qualified as forensic auditor. L4 is uniquely introduced concept which is on the research papers, which we want to do it from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India at the global level. L5 is the Gujarat Science Forensic University. By completing that course, we will be empaneled with 80 countries. Babu sir, this is very interesting. 80 countries globally will be empaneled to go and do the financial forensic. So this is something which is, the kind of advantage or the opportunity where chartered accountants are going to get going forward. And the most important part, which I would like to say in capacity of vice chairman of Digital Accounting and Assurance Board, is we are now introducing the world's best forensic standards, which are the most comprehensive one. No institute in the world has introduced, and ICAI is going to be the premier in introducing this. We have released out of 32 16 exposure drafts to the public. So congratulations to you all people that our institute is going to be a world leader on forensic standards. So balance 16, we are going to make it very soon by end of February to ensure that the exposures have been released. Apart from that, most importantly, on a forensic side, I'm not going to talk about the subject, but I'm going to talk only about the opportunity. Now, Center of Excellence Hyderabad has been given a special approval from the Council and Management Committee to have a forensic lab in our Center of Excellence. By virtue of that, the softwares which are very costly, which our chartered accountants need not buy, if they get a forensic assignment, they can use Center of Excellence systems for doing it and deleting the entire data and going back. So our chartered accountants will be equipped by ICI in a different manner. Apart from that, friends, I can tell you one thing. Caro 2020 is something which we all have to look into, because forensic is actually a direct and indirect message which is there. I think right. I'm right, Joman. Caro 2020 is something which is unbelievable. So this is something which we need to really focus on, because statutorily a lot of things are being asked now. Right, Joman? So apart from that, the expectation from forensic auditors is that an auditor has to be a forensic auditor. Friends, I can tell you only one thing: forensic or fraud is an intention, and intentions cannot be audited. So one thing which we need to really understand is there is a gap between the expectation and the delivery what we are doing. But yes, now the kind of demand which has been created by the regulators is very huge. So please understand, the responsibility on chartered accountant is coming in a very large manner, right? So please take care of this in very critical manner. Now we are coming out with data analytics and advanced Excel as a tool, and we are now trying to work out with more software companies which are providing money laundering softwares, these kind of things which we are working on, which will be available for our members at a larger level. Hopefully, I'm putting my fingers crossed. Unfortunately, because of Corona, it has got delayed, but we are going to make it happen by end of February. So again, that is one more challenge which we have. Now there are many things which I can continue talking on. Only thing which I can tell is one thing: if chartered accountant, if there is a fraud, right? If there is a fraud, there is a financial transaction. And if there is a financial transaction without a chartered accountant involvement and giving a support to a regulator and to the respective agency, I think the responsibility on our shoulder is very high. So let us make, because finance can be only understood by chartered accountants, please understand. And it is time that, as a tax auditor, we have been playing a quasi judicial power. Now, as a forensic auditor, we have to play a quasi judicial power in supporting the government and ensuring that we are ready with all kind of technology and tools. So we have a very learned speaker today, Prabhat ji, who is going to give us agriculture today, and we look forward for his participation in a large manner. I thank you all for giving me an opportunity to be the chairman of this session, and we'll make it happen going forward also.
Uh, Yeah, there was a break in between. Now we are back to,
Prabhatji, am I audible?
uh, not now.
Audible now?
Can you try now, Delhi?
Sir, I would request that we start the session of Prabhat sir, because here the network is very bad. I think there is some jammer here.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. We would like you to come back towards the end if possible. Thank you for being on a very big mission of the exam-related thing with the commissioner's office. Extremely happy and thankful to you for the entire support for the entire conference right from the beginning. And today, as chairman of the session, you have set the tone for it. But sir, before, in case if you're not able to come back, we would really like you to come back. Here is a memento for you, virtually given to you now. And then I will be sent across to you with your photograph in session. Office, please.
Thank you.
You can see the memento, sir, on the screen.
I am unable to see my.
Srinu, yeah. The memento will come between me and Prabhatji. Yes, now they can see. Bring it closer so that the speaker can see his photograph. Bring it closer, Srinu, to the screen.
So I'll always remember where I gave my introductory speech.
Yeah. That reminds me of what Manoharan sir said when we gave this for the 52nd regional conference exactly 1 year back. Thank you, Jomon, for this, because I can tell my wife that I was actually in Cochin for the conference. So you are actually here in Cochin, though virtually. It will reach you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please.
I'll try to join you at the end.
It will be our pleasure. It will be a pleasure. Back to Kottayam, back to Harikrishnan sir for introducing the very learned speaker, Prabhat Kumar sir.
Before that, Jaman sir, I would have a few words. Examinations, there are several representations going to the ministry to postpone the examination. Therefore, but still, we made all the preparations for the exam. Therefore, institute is not in a mood to postpone the examination at all, because it will affect the future of the students. We are joined with my good friend Prabhat Kumar. In fact, I met him a decade back when I went to Kuala Lumpur to attend a 1 week training course on forensic accounting and forensic audit. In fact, he was one of the faculty there, and he was the only faculty, Indian faculty, I could say, though he is settled in KL. Our relationship started since from there, and I think I got further strengthened when he was chairman of the Malaysian chapter. And I think I'm very glad he has, and he's one of the top-notch expert, I could say, across the globe on forensic accounting. In fact, he always used to say that it is forensic accounting and not forensic audit. But I used to tell him that audit sells better than accounting. See, I think India has seen in this decade large number of financial scams, and I think due to human greed, it is increasing day by day. I can say that's the kind of. I think one of the interesting scam was a Speak Asia scam. A Singapore-based Speak Asia online limited asked investors to fill out forms which MNCs would use as market research and pay for it. To sign up, one has to shell out 11,000 rupees annually. The earning potential was 52,000. And if investors got more people to sign in, they could earn more money. The company did not pay any money to the investor and duped 2.4 million Indians for around 2,276 crores. I think both that speaks ample about the greed of the people. And I think this is happening even locally also, whether it is Sahara's chit fund scam, which is worth around 24.6 billion. Sahara we are seeing with 24,000 crores. Nirav Modi, NSCL, Rotamac, Satyam scandal, I think list is endless. That's the
Yes.
kind of, I think, with that, my only thing is we need to change our mindset. I think that is what, as an auditor, which is more important. You need not really be an forensic auditor for that, but you need to change our mindset, and we need to also update and gain expertise. I think in the computer-aided audit techniques and audit tools, which are, I think, today available at a very reasonable cost. And I'm sure Prabhatji will take a walkthrough on important techniques, whether it is a Tiger Team test, Benford's theorem, barium test, Birbal tricks and trips, applying of inverse logic, space-time dimension in data evaluation, and so on and so forth. Therefore, this 1.5 hours may not be no way sufficient to give a even a bird's eye view of the forensic accounting and forensic audit. But I am very glad that the Digital Accounting Board, which has launched the FAFD course, Forensic Auditing and Forensic Accounting course, has got tremendous response. And today we have more than 1,300 certified FAFD chartered accountants in the country. I think around 20 batches now they have completed. I think next exam cycle is also going to come. I am sure we are all eager to hear from Prabhat Kumar ji. Once again, my special thanks to Prabhat ji for agreeing to address this Navaratna conference. Over to Kottayam branch, Anil, for the introduction of the speaker.
Sir, before that, 1 month before that, Prabhat Kumar sir, happy to inform you that the participation has crossed 500. What's the exact count now? I'm not able to see it. Roy sir.
Thank you.
562. 562.
562. So it's still ticking. Compliments to all the entire members of the organizing team, and the credit goes to the speaker because it's your popularity and your standing that brings the crowd to the screen today. Anilji, back to you. You have to unmute. Anil is a past chairman of Kottayam branch. You have to unmute.
Sir, it's unmute. Can you hear me, sir? Hello? Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes, it's audible.
Beloved Chairman of Kottayam branch, Sri C.A.R. Harikrishnan, Secretary Sri C.A. Prem Sebastian Anthony, Conference Chairman Sri Babu Abraham Kallivailil, Conference Convener C.A. Jomon K. George, Office Bearers of the Navaratna branches, Chairman of the session Sri C.A. Dayanivas Sharma, Speaker of the day Sri C.A. Prabhat Kumar, and dear participants. I am here to introduce the learned speaker of the session, Sri C.A. Prabhat Kumar. Navaratna being a knowledge-driven program jointly hosted by 9 branches of ICAI. Day 5 of the program is hosted by our branch Kottayam, and the 5th Ratna stands for Elos Affair for Brihaspati, Jupiter, being the Guru. When it comes to physical healing, this Ratna is believed to be best to treat disorders. Hence, this day have the greater coincidence in discussing the topic forensic audit, as this being squarely addresses the issue of disorders and damages. Our speaker of the day is Sri C.A. Prabhat Kumar, a chartered accountant by profession, who also holds diploma in investigative and forensic accounting from the University of Toronto, Canada. Also being a member of Malaysian Institute of Accountants, Mr. Prabhat Kumar is a certified fraud examiner, Texas, USA. He has developed his career in forensic accounting practice, and the firm founded by him, Alliance AFA, specializes exclusively in litigation support and forensic accounting services. The firm assists clients in the quantification of the economic losses and provides forensic accounting and neutral services. Before this, our learned speaker earlier acted as general manager at MNC and as auditor and manager. Sri Prabhat Kumar is leading his firm in handling civil assignments including insurance claims, income tax disputes, various types of economic damages and criminal assignments such as tax evasion, securities violation by PLCs, frauds. Moreover, our speaker appeared as an expert witness in Malaysian courts on 7 different occasions. The list of countries where he has provided service includes Malaysia, Maldives, India, China, Philippines, Cambodia, Singapore, and Brunei. He is a very demanding author in this field and acted as co-author of the book Accountant as an Expert Witness. Our speaker appeared in mass media, in morning TV talk show of TV2 and in webcasts of ICAI. Being an expert in the subject known internationally, Sri Prabhat Kumar has made presentation at various forums in Singapore, Malaysia, and in India. He has also conducted workshops on regular basis for the quantification of economic losses, investigation and forensic accounting techniques at the Academy of Auditor General of Malaysia. He is a panel member of open forum discussion entitled Pitfalls to Avoid Performing IFA Assignments at Kuala Lumpur. Dear participants, the factor adding color to the knowledge base of our speaker is that he has developed and lectured for 7-week certificate course for investigative and forensic accounting along with Pierre Saint Laurent, CAIFA from Montreal. On behalf of the Kottayam branch of SIRC of ICAI and Navaratna branches, I proudly present before you today's speaker, Sri C.A. Prabhat Kumar. Thank you.
Sir, it is over to you. Please unmute and start your session.
Thanks to all of you, and my personal thanks to all these branches of Kerala, state of Kerala's, Mr. Varghese and Babu Ibrahim, who introduced me to all these branches. And in fact, he was the only person who brought me closer to members, council members, because I did not, when I left India in 1992, I was totally out of touch with the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. Even when I did my master's in forensic accounting from Canada, I did not know who is in Malaysia, in India, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, somewhere in 2002 or 4 to be contacted. So ultimately, when Babu came and attended my course, I was really delighted, and oh, now I know someone who is so interested in this subject. And he was one of the pioneers, I can say, who wanted to know more about this subject and develop himself. And recently, congratulations to him. He did the course also, which is very surprising to me that he does need, in fact, that qualification, but because he possesses that kind of knowledge. Now, since the opportunity has been given to me and the subject is so vast, I will certainly start from very basic things, because I have come across this problem during my participation in standard setting process by Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, that forensic investigation, forensic audit, and audit, there are various words. The moment you use the word forensic, it means pertinent to law. So whether it is forensic audit or forensic accounting, it doesn't make any difference. Now, when you say forensic audit, it involves only the investigative aspect of certain fraud. Because fraud, you are saying fraud, forensic examinations. So forensic audit generally involves only the fraud investigations for the purpose of submission of your report to the court of law. Now, it is not necessary that when you investigate, it must go to the court. But the moment you use the word forensic, whether it is in your engagement, the moment it is written, it is a forensic audit, It means you have to meet the standards set by the law. Now, those standards relate to understanding of the process of civil litigations. You have to understand the process of how to present the evidence, how to correlate the facts, and you must have a conclusive result. You cannot leave the report, you cannot conclude your report hanging in balance. It has to be conclusive. I have appeared more than 30 times in various high courts in Malaysia. And fortunately, I have been cross-examined in one particular case by 6 different lawyers in the same case, because there were 6 defendants. And all these 6 defendants were part who has collided. So their lawyers really tried to, the very basic purpose of opponent lawyers, is to discredit our very basic fact-finding skill, analytical ability, and to see the numbers beyond normal person's capability. I must tell you one more thing. When a crime is committed, say murder, there is hardly, no one can say that this particular murder has been committed without evidence. Similarly, not a single white-collar crime can be committed without leaving trail of evidence. Now, a normal policeman may not be able to collect those evidence when he goes to the scene of the crime, but a person who is expert in forensic activities, the moment he goes to the crime scene, he collects more than 20-30 evidence from the same place where normal police persons could not get a single evidence. And that exactly happens with forensic accounting. If you are experienced, if you have experience, and if you are very alert, you will certainly find number of evidence which can be brought together to reach to a conclusion that why a particular person is the suspect and why he is the person who is behind this whole nonsense. Now, before I go further, my friend, I would like to say that do not use the word loosely forensic. The moment you use the word forensic, it means tomorrow your findings may be referred in the court of law. Because I have seen in a number of cases, at the time of investigation, when they recruit you, the client won't say that they will always say, oh, we don't have any intention to go to the court. Most likely they say because they want to reduce the fee. So we don't want to go to any, we have no intention, we simply wanted to know how this has happened and who has done this, who has not done it. Later on, when we submit the report, the change of mind takes place because of the volume, because of the intensity of the damage, because of the persons involved in those type of crime. Then they say, oh, with this report, we are going to submit to the court. But the moment I have submitted my report to the client, I have virtually no control to retrieve it back and to make modifications. So it is extremely important for all my chartered accountants, whenever they are engaged for any investigative work, the moment the client says that it has to be forensic report, it has to be forensic investigations, be careful, do it carefully, do it once and do it right. And how to make it right, that process you will learn through experience and through study. There are hundreds of books, there are hundreds of case studies. I'm going to explain you some very basic techniques which a normal chartered accountant can use who has understood the forensic work, to why forensic accounting needs a different approach. So this I'm going to explain. Further, I would like to add one more thing here, that forensic investigation is something which has to be done not without audit mindset. Now, it does not mean that audit is inferior. I have a tagline in my company: investigation starts from the point where audit ends. It does not mean that auditors are not capable to investigate. The only reason that when auditors go for investigation or when they go for audit, they are trained to be an auditor, and auditors have a very, I was auditor for almost 8 years. After my articleship, virtually I was for auditor for 3 years, and then my work was also related to internal audit, although I was vice president, but still basic nature doesn't change. An auditor is always an auditor. But what happens when you use the mindset of an auditor? Because auditors generally start with a notion, clients in good faith. In forensic accounting, there is no such thing as good faith or bad faith. You have to start the work with a plain slate, no opinion, no biasness. We start the investigations and gradually we move, and then we form the opinion based on evidence collected. I must tell you, I was involved in one of the largest scam in the world. I was the first persons to start the investigation that related to Prime Minister in sitting, Dato Sri Najib, Malaysian Prime Minister. Money involving was more than 7.5 billion US dollars, not million. Let me remind you, 7.5 billion US dollar, and still it is going on. He has already been convicted for 10 years. Unfortunately, because of the political situation, he has gone for appeal and he is still behind, not behind the bar. But that was an eye-opener for me. And this was a cross-country manipulations, cross-country fraud involving more than 9 countries in the world, including Switzerland, London, Singapore, Cayman Island, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and so on and so forth. Now, one more thing I would like to also say that forensic, when you say forensic investigative accounting, it is a larger word than forensic audit. Forensic audit is a subset of forensic investigative accounting. When we say forensic accounting, it involves damage quantification, litigation support services, cases related to family dispute, valuations, even forensic due diligence at the time of acquisitions of any business. So now why every time we use the word forensic? Because if suppose we have been engaged for due diligence and we found, I'm talking about forensic due diligence, it is much different than normal due diligence. When I'm engaged for forensic due diligence, my primary responsibility is to confirm that all those figures which has been the basis for calculation of purchase considerations are 100% accurate. If suppose deal has already taken place, suppose the total deal is for 32 million and we found that assets were overvalued by 9 million. Now, certainly the vendor and the buyer would like to discuss, and they may confront each other, and ultimately it may go to the court. Now, when I was engaged, I was never said that they have the intention to go to the court. Now, if suppose tomorrow the report goes to the court, and I cannot say to judge, sir, I was engaged at the time, I was not told that this report is going to be used in the court of law, so I'm unable to testify in front of you. So that is the risk. The moment you use the word forensic, you have to be extremely, extremely careful. Now, one more very basic difference between audit and investigation is that auditors always have a roadmap. Investigators always start investigations with a floating mindset. Now, when you say floating mindset, what does it mean? Floating mindset that, yes, when we start the investigations, we prepare a plan based on the facts given to us. But as you know very well, those who are the victim of the fraud or those who have suffered the damages, they have the tendency to color the picture the way they feel proper. It is human nature. No one can change it. When I will tell my story of suffering, I may convey to all of you the way I perceive, not the way the fact is there. So when you have learned the story, based on the basic facts, you have to understand the entire business better than the owners of the business. Why I'm saying that? Because unless you understand the entire background of the case, you cannot be a successful investigator. You cannot do the right job at right place with right frame of mind. Second very important thing is that you have to be extremely certain at the very early stage of the fraud, early stage of the investigation, that you are pursuing for a right cause. You cannot simply do investigation without believing yourself that yes, damage has taken place and the suspects have really damaged the company or has really done something wrong. In order to convince that, you must go through first, without interventions of anybody, any individuals, gather the facts, the basic facts, study them properly. If you do not know the industry, try to educate yourself before you start investigations, so that you can see all the various dimensions of that particular business or industry and all related areas which might have contributed to that kind of situations which you have been asked to investigate. I give you one example. I was engaged to investigate aluminum die cast industry. Now, I had no knowledge what is die cast before I had taken this assignment. So what did I did? I educated myself. I went to the factory. I made 3 rounds of visit with my team. We analyzed all the various phases of production there, and then we prepared the production cycle, and we identified all the phases of the cycle so that we can identify the persons involved in various phases and most likely person who might have done something wrong in that phase or in that particular cycle. When I say accounting cycle, there are 3-4 accounting cycles. One is production cycle, one is human resource cycle, another is revenue cycle, and then in case of procurement, there is a procurement cycle. Or sometimes if it is tender, then there is a tender process cycle. You know what is the purpose of having this analysis? You can identify all those persons involved, and then you can understand how the documents has been created, either on computer or physical. Of course, till to date, 50%, 40% documents are still being prepared physically. Maybe after 5 years or 3 years, there will be hardly any paper trail. The way the electronic media is taking, electronic equipments are coming into our life, there will be hardly any paper trail. So, but we have to, the basic theory has to be the same. We have to understand the business very well and understand all the various aspects. So I educated myself first with my team, the entire process of production. Even I went to such an extent that I hired an expert of die cast to understand how the various types of machines with 600 psi, 900 psi functions, how much aluminum is wasted, how the dross is calculated, what is virgin aluminum, what is aluminum with secondary market, and all sort of things. We also visited London Metal Exchange to understand the related trading of the aluminum and so on and so forth. A lot of things depending based on the case given to us. Now, before that, I would like to say three things chartered accountants must develop before they start investigations. They must know very in deep the human psychology. They also must understand the types of records which are generated and the persons who are involved in various phases. Then they also must understand that it is not necessary that if a particular officer or management has conveyed the quantum of loss, that is bound to be there. None of my investigative experience suggests that the amount given at the beginning matched with my investigative figure. Sometimes either it is too high or sometimes it is much lower. I am giving one case study. In that case study, they claim that they have 4 or 5 persons combined together through collusion. They have siphoned out almost 6,000 tons of oil, palm refined oil. But our 60,000 tons. But our investigations confirm that after all facts taken into consideration, the actual loss was only 28,000 tons of oil. And I must salute the client that they did not pressurize me to increase the figure, because they know us very well that if it is 28,000 tons, it is 28,000 tons. It cannot be 40,000, it cannot be 35,000 or 50,000 or 60,000. And why they agreed our figure? Because we worked out in such a manner that why these all areas where losses has been sustained has not been recorded should be excluded from the quantum of manipulation. If you have a loss of 60,000 tons and 30,000 tons you have lost due to various other mistakes or errors, you can't say that this entire loss happened due to particular incidents or particular collision amongst the few persons. So that always happens. We have to be very careful. And second thing, always be objective. Always look forward and be extremely analytical in mind, and you must develop an eye for details. Shortcut is not the way for forensic accounting. There is no shortcut in forensic accounting. Never ever form your opinion without any basis. Auditors have the tendency to form opinions based on sample, based on certain facts. No, please do not form an opinion, because when you write a report, only one person has the right to form an opinion, that is the judge. You only explain in your report the facts, what the facts indicate. That's all. Few more cautious word I will suggest. Do not use the word fraud, manipulation. Use the word something which is less, I can say, less offensive. Wrongdoings, possible wrongdoings, possible miscalculation, possible manipulations, but try to avoid harsh words it shows your biasness. So this is very important. Now I'm giving you one more facts about forensic accounting that lot of people, they might have now understood that when you go for audit, then what happens? You ignore. You're always guided by materialistic concept of materiality. This I have learned from beginning. Anything which of trivial matter, or which is of not that important, you tend to ignore. In forensic accounting, even slightest of deviation from the norm is deeply investigated to confirm that it's not due to error, but due to some other reasons or not. Another thing, when you write your report, be careful about the language. Second thing, it must be, your report must be extremely synchronized. And the reader must not lose the interest while reading the report. All the facts has to be interconnected, interlinked, and then you prepare the report in such a manner that a person feel after reading the report, or must be convinced after reading the report, that why Mr. X is the only person who has done this wrongdoing. Why, if the damage has taken place, why the figure has to be 30 crores or 30 million? Why not 28 million? Why not 40 million? Why not 58 million? Similarly, when you write a report, it must be extremely conclusive. You cannot leave the report hanging. If you have found limitations during investigation, which is very natural, be courageous to write all such limitations which you have faced during the investigation. And if suppose you have been engaged by the court or by any, I can say, all those, like any regulatory body, and if you find that limitations are extremely serious in nature, do not complete the investigation. Never submit what you call forensic report with qualifications. Forensic report, if you feel that you cannot draw conclusion, provide interim report. Write down the limitations which is very serious in nature, you could not conclude it because of those serious limitations. Be careful about that, and do not simply hush up the report. I have fortunately reviewed at least 6-7 reports which were sent to me for critic review. Now, these reports are not written by normal chartered accountant. They are all from well-known accounting firms. I can't reveal anybody's name, but I have found very serious limitations in those reports and serious errors which undermined the reliance of the report. And at the end of the day, major part of the report was rejected by the judge to give it considerations in terms of judgment. It is very, very important, and that is one of the reasons I was bit vocal during standard setting process for Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and I'm thankful to my colleagues who are very open-minded. They accepted those reasonings, and I have sent case studies and number of things. Fortunately, it was well accepted, and I'm thankful for Institute to use them. And I am sure the standard which is going to be released in due course of time will be one of the finest standards for chartered accountants to govern their profession. This is a profession which has to be regulated so that chartered accountants, especially young aspirants who want to enter into this profession, must know what is to be done and what is not to be done. So now one of the aspects, as I mentioned to you, one of the very important aspects of investigation is developing hypothesis. Now, why we develop hypothesis and what does it mean? I think it might be a new word for a number of chartered accountants. Developing hypothesis is not a normal practice in our audit practice. But in investigation, it is extremely important. Now, just I give you one example to understand what do we mean by hypothesis. And there was one gentleman, Mr. Jacob. He was working in a company as manager finance, and he was the person who was involved in the reconciliation of the bank. He was the person who used to keep the checkbook with him. He was the person who used to approve the invoices, suppliers' invoices for the payment. And in typical organizations, in order to cut the cost, sometimes we compromise with internal control. And this was the typical example. So there was an allegation that he has transferred $1.6 million to his personal account and wife's account. Now, when they engaged an auditor, this is the real case where I was engaged at a later stage to correct the errors. Now, when they engage the lawyers, when they engage the chartered accountant who is in practice, they give him almost 60 checks which they had obtained from the bank, photocopy of the checks. And the photocopy of the check clearly mentioned his name or his wife's name, at the back his signature, and so on and so forth. So this was a real evidence to confirm that money has gone to his personal account. Besides that, when it was given to him, management told him that we have lost 1.6 million, and out of the 1.6 million, the checks, photocopied checks, accounted approximately 1.5 million or 4 million. And so auditor was convinced that Mr. Jacob is the guilty person and suspect. This is the biggest mistake the auditor did that time. Now, what happened when he was being narrated the entire episode, he took it granted that whatever client is suggesting has really happened. And that is very natural because client is in good faith. That is the first lesson we learn when we start audit. We cannot audit a client who is not in good faith. Then the whole basic understanding of audit is useless. Audit started with a conviction that client is in good faith. A bad faith client will never be investigated, never be audited, because everything is nonsense, so no point of having this assurance audit. And then what he did, based on those 60 checks which was given to him, he started corroborating the facts to establish that Mr. Jacob is the person who transmitted the fund to his personal account. He collected evidence to show that he is the possessor of the check. He collected the evidence to show that he is the person who used to reconcile the bank. He is the person who used to write the check to get it signed by the two signatory. There was a very important fact in this whole case. There were two signatories in the bank. One person was always traveling. So what he did, he signed the number of blank checks because they have the conditions with the bank that if the amount is more than 10,000 and beyond, there will be two signatories. If less than 10,000, it will have to be signed by one partner, one director. So since the other director always used to travel for overseas, for business, China and this and that, Vietnam and all those areas, so he signed number of blank checks and gave to the accountant. Now he forgot that accountant can always encash the check by putting amount lesser than 10,000 and deposit in his account. What he did, he also put the name of the various suppliers into the counter file, but the check went into his personal account. In Malaysia, when you issue a check, the check never comes back to you. It becomes the property of the bank. I do not know about India. 30 years back, we used to collect the check from the bank, but now I do not know whether we receive the check back from the bank or not. But 30 years back, yes. But in Malaysia, since beginning, the moment you issue the check, it goes out of your system. It is kept by the bank, either in form of soft copy or hard copy, I do not know, but they keep the check, it never comes back to you. And when you look into the bank statement never mention who is the recipient of the amount. They always mention clearing or something like that, especially when it is account pay check. And all the checks were account pay, which personal account. None of them were cash. If cash, then they would have called the bank's direct signatories that you have issued a cash check. Is it approved or authorized? So he purposefully used all account pay checks, and it was deposited either to his personal account or to his wife's personal account. So this auditor who was engaged to investigate this crime collected all those evidence, gathered them, then all related evidence he gathered, concluded the report, submitted to the lawyer. Now, when lawyer gone through, during the case was filed, they had lodged a police report. Ultimately, the case went to the court. Now, when the case went to the court, there is one process, we call it case management. I think some of the chartered accountants may not be aware that any litigation, when it starts, there is a process of case management when documents are exchanged between both the parties, so that there is no discovery at the time of the trial, which is very, very embarrassing. At the time of the trial, generally judges do not allow new evidence to come. So during that process, lawyer realized that they have number of ideas in their mind which they are going to use as defense. What were those ideas? First, that yes, he has withdrawn the cash. Yes, the cash has been deposited in the account, but these checks were given to him by one of the signatories to deposit in his account, and after every 10 or 15 checks, money is to be withdrawn to be given back to the partner. First. Second, this company had history of tax evasion. They were penalized by the tax of department, Inland Revenue, 2 times for under declaring the profit. Since he was an accountant, he knew very well that it has happened. Then also second difference that the lawyer had in his mind, that this money was given to his account, they debited to relevant purchases in order to inflate the purchase and then withdrew the cash from the cashier. So cashier was a scapegoat or a vehicle for manipulations of accounting manipulations by the management or the owner himself. Third thing, time to time, they used to withdraw excess cash from his account to give him back some additional amount. There are other 4 or 5 more allegations. I just give you one more. That one of the partners had his girlfriend in China, which was extramarital relationship. He used to withdraw this cash without bringing it to the knowledge of the other partner and send it through money changer to China. Now, why he used to have this kind of evidence? Why he used to have this kind of defense? Because the company used to import lot of consumable items from China. And in China, there is a tendency, if suppose you say that, okay, you bill me 40% lower than the actual cost, balance we will transmit you through money changer or through the hawala, whatever you call in India, they will immediately do it for you. So that your duty in Malaysia can be reduced. Now, he knew it very well. So, but he never disclosed this. He disclosed the other way. He says they have the girlfriend and the money changer used to send the money to his girlfriend, to the director's girlfriend in China. Now, why this all happened? Ultimately, I must tell you, the case was brought to me and they had mentioned some of these things. So we had to reinvestigate the whole thing, and we established that no such facts, means that what happened to developing hypothesis. If suppose the auditor would have developed the hypothesis at the time of investigation, he would have investigated all these possible aspects before the concluding the evidence to confirm that hypothesis A, hypothesis B, hypothesis C, hypothesis D, all are null because of the following evidence. Only because of this particular reasons, the money has gone to his account. Now, this what indicates? It indicates that investigative accountant has to be imaginative. He has to understand the entire spectrum of business so that, and he must ask and must interview the owner himself. What type of problems you have faced in the past? Whether you have any problem with the revenue department, inland revenue department or income tax department, whether you have been penalized or not, unless you have gathered all the facts, and you have to be extremely transparent and I can say very, very straightforward. Sometimes clients do not like, they say, why you are asking all these nonsense questions? But they do not know when the case will go to the trial, the real acid test will begin. In audit, when you prepare the financial statement, nobody is there to question you directly. But in investigation, when you communicate to your report, the real acid test begins in the courtroom in front of number of lawyers and the judge. And the moment your answer is, sir, I do not know, I have not viewed the problem from these dimensions, your credibility is drastically reduced. And that's what happens with number of investigations. In India also, number of cases has come to my knowledge where the forensic report prepared by the chartered accountant was not up to the standard, and ultimately it was not accepted in full in the court, or the lawyers were not happy with the report because it was not conclusive and they cannot bind the suspect with the findings of the audit report or the forensic report. So that is the purpose why I'm telling you. I do not know how much time I have now. It's already 6:58. Can anybody tell me how much time I have now?
Sir, I think we can
half an
have
hour to go.
How much?
Half an hour. I think
even more than that, sir. More than half an hour, I think we can have. I think.
I have more than half an hour. Okay,
Yes.
okay. So I have to leave some time for question answer, am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me give you another case study which I am going to explain through slides, and it's all related to the same issue which I have told you, where 5 persons were involved. in manipulations of palm oil. And in the meantime, I'm opening the slide. Am I clear to all of you?
It's
Or too fast?
Now slides are come.
Okay, now, okay.
Practical case study.
Should I maintain the same pace or I'm too fast?
Allah, you can explain and move the slides.
Okay. Okay. Now, yes, sir. Let me correct it. No. Just a minute. Okay, now, this is about, okay, I'll give you some background of the case so that we all can understand. The factory used to purchase refined palm oil from various refineries and other types of edible oil such as sunflower oil, groundnut oil, coconut oil. They used to prepare blend and sell in the local market and overseas market. There's huge factory and which has 5 different sections or 5 different production unit. They had the blending and refinery process, blended oil for cooking to be used for hotels, restaurant, convert the oil into margarine and blended butter. Then they used to make the soap also and selling the refined oil in bulk as well. And plus further refine also, they had the extremely sophisticated plant where they used to re-refine the refined oil for the cosmetic use and used to export in overseas market. Now, during the first meeting with the management and the solicitors, we were informed that 66,000 tons of oil was stolen over last 4 years. Actually, it is 60,000, not 6,000 tons. But anyway, recently it was discovered that instead of automatic recording of the weighing scale for oil dispatches, that in tankers to particular customers, it was weighed manually. Now they had a system where you don't need to do anything. The moment lorry comes on the weighing scale, automatically you have to press the button enter. Computer will generate the weight of we call it tare weight of the lorry along with the container, and it will go inside the factory. Once the oil is loaded, it will again come out of the factory. Then they will again press the button for the same code number, and total weight will come. Difference between the first weight and second weight will be the weight of the oil, which is being transmitted, which is being transferred through the lorry for the customer. But what they did, they had a manual operation system inside the facility in order to avoid delay during breakdown. So they had learned the art how to manually use the machine for generating the report, for generating a payment which they like to generate. So they ultimately collided with one particular customer. He used to bring lorry with tanker capacity of 24-25 tons of refined oil, but always used to buy only 12 ton, 14 ton, 11 ton. While going back, they used to generate manually the weighing report for the person so that the actual weight appears only 11 ton or 12 ton instead of 24 ton. So every trip this lorry comes into the factory, they used to siphon out approximately 14 tons of oil. And this was, this practice continued for a longer period of time. Now, while leaving the factory, such tankers were issued manual weighment ticket and internal inquiry and physical verification by the auditor. They had almost 30-40 storage tanks. So when they suspected that oil is too high in the inventory, but still they keep on asking for purchase more and more oil because oil purchase was taking place from the headquarters and factory was in Johor Bahru, which is near Singapore, and their headquarters was in Kuala Lumpur. So they said they suspected that how come the oil in the tanker as per the system is very high, still they ask to buy more and more. Ultimately, and this took almost 4 years to recognize. Just imagine how sometimes people are complacent and they don't bother about some red flags. And when they send the auditor, they realize that number of tanks do not have the quantity which is being reflected in the system, because there was a system which was very new, about 10 years back they had installed the system, and one of the persons who was simply you can say warehouse in charge had the ability to learn it very fast by through training, and he used to manipulate by transferring to those showing that this oil is in certain tanks through certain entry inside the system, which was which needed really intelligent brain, but he managed to understand the loopholes of the system, and he created a false impressions by showing, we call it transfer entry, by showing that this oil has been transferred to another tanker, another tanker has this much of quantity, this tanker has no quantity. And like that, he manipulated, and ultimately they all were in the dark, and they thought that oil is still there. But when they realized physical verification was conducted, then they realized that oil is missing, and that quantity was 60,000 tons. So we were requested to investigate. Now, they had already done the internal inquiry. They had engaged some auditor. They have found certain areas, but the lawyers were not satisfied. They said, with basis of this, we cannot go to the court. We cannot claim damages from them, who has the real culprits. And as per their figure, the quantity was 60,000. So we were engaged, and now we were. So first thing what we have to do, we try to prepare the entire flow chart of the process, because unless you know the industry very well, unless you know the various dimensions, the various phases of the production, and how the oil is received and how it is moved to various departments and how it is recorded, what type of documents are generated, you can't do the justice to your job. So we prepared the chart, something like which I am just, this is all for example, the actual is different, means actual number, figures is different, figures are same, but name, all everything has been changed just to hide the identity. Refined oil is received in tankers with a capacity of 20 to 24 tons of oil. Tankers are allowed to enter the factory after passing the automatic weigh scale. After payment, a slip is given to the lorry driver, who takes the lorry at the delivery bay. Oil is transferred into the storage tank through indicators. They roughly know that quantity is correct, and then the oil from the various storage tanks are issued to various departments based on the requisition slip issued by the department in charge. It is delivered in the tanks of various customers who used to purchase super refined oil for their commercial use. Means since they had the two different types of customers, one who used to deliver, those who used to buy the same refined oil which they have purchased in bulk, another who used to buy the super refined oil from the factory, and the same oil which they used to buy as refined oil go for another process to generate super refined oil. And department which received the oil from storage tanks, where they used to manufacture margarine also, blended butter. Beside that, they used to also send the blended oil for bottling plant. Now, the process was very, very complicated. So we have to understand, we spent almost 4 or 5 days just to understand the entire process and the type of documents or entries captured in the computer. You won't believe this exercise allowed us to understand that unless we reconcile various processes, we cannot come to a conclusion that oil has really been lost or not. Because there are numerous possibilities or hypotheses. And unless you test all those hypotheses, tomorrow when you go to the court and say that this has, because of this reason, the theft has taken place, the lawyer will come in with another type of story. And then when the judge will ask, Mr. Kumar, have you examined this possibility? And the moment you say, no, sir, I have not examined because this is not possible, then they will ask why it is not possible. Since you have never imagined that possibility, you will be blank-faced. And you won't be able to convince in a convincing manner to judge that why this possibility did not exist, because you have not worked on that possibility. So never mind, let me go further because time is short. Developing an understanding about the structure and flow of the operations, internal control in place and its effectiveness, vis-a-vis filing of internal inquiries, all these factors we took into considerations. Then we examined the various records, various phases of production, purchase, and then started developing hypotheses. I go fast a bit, and these are the possible hypotheses. The refined oil which was delivered to the factory was physically lower in quantity than documented. Possible? Unless I have verified it, I can't simply say that this has not happened. Oil sent for super refining lost the oil during the processing more than standard, but recorded less than what has been lost. The storage tanks overflowed, but never reported to avoid reprimand. Now, if the storage tank has overflowed, how to confirm whether it has happened or not? Because tomorrow, certainly they will come and say, there are so many times our tank overflowed because they were recorded, and they say that we have siphoned out the oil. In Malaysia, beautiful part is that when you have the large industrial production center, Department of Environment regularly collect the sample of discharged water from your main drain in order to confirm that it meets the Department of Environment's standard of the water which is to be discharged, because the water which is being used in the factory has to go through a effluent treatment plant before being released with certain number of bacteria or certain level of oxygen, so that it may not be injurious for fish or any other creatures which is in the water or river. In order to stop the pollution, they have such a strict regulations. Now, if that happened, if suppose the oil has inflowed, they have released the oil in the drain and not reported to the management, then certainly Department of Environment must have penalized them. So what we did, we went to Department of Environment and we asked them to provide us the report of last 5 years, as any penalty they have imposed on this factory in last 5 years. And in fact, none. So this type of evidence saves my position during cross-examinations and to confirm to the judge that this type of possibility did not exist. So we have to close one by one all possibilities by purposely going through and investigating and collecting evidence, so that tomorrow when you are when you are in the dock or in the witness box, you can with confidence convey that this has been examined and this is the result. Now, second thing, oil sent for super refining lost the oil. Okay, storage tank overflowed. Oil consumed during the processing was contaminated more than standard. When they blend the oil, sometimes oil gets contaminated because of other processing. And once the oil mixed with the other oil, then the desired level, it is considered as contaminated oil, because the taste of the oil will change and standard will not meet, the desired standard won't be able to meet. And this is an ISO factory. So they have to follow the standard parameters. So if such contamination takes place, they used to send it to for soap manufacturing. Now, there may be possibility that they will say that, look, oil was contaminated, they transferred to soap manufacturing, and they never reported properly. So that is why the shortage is there. Now, this all we came to know. The hypothesis you can only develop once you know the entire process and entire possibility of happening an event. And you can understand and you can create those type of, you can develop that kind of understanding only after having a thorough internal check of the entire flow of document, entire flow process, entire. Second thing, machine was filling, automatic machines were filling the oil in a final packaging. Now, when an oil is packed in a container, say 1 liter container or 5 liter container, 2 liter containers, it is always filled by the machine, presuming the accuracy of the filling equipment. But during the process, it came to my mind, if suppose they are filling less or more, who is recording it? Because nobody is bothered. Everybody is going by the standard weight, assuming that machine is filling on the standard quantity in the bottle. I had a big challenge to overcome this problem and to ascertain that machine is accurate in its filling, because oil which has been filled in the past is already dispatched, and it is dispatched assuming, okay, 5 liters container, 200 pieces, so 200 times 5, 1 ton oil is one pallet, something like that. So they always used to send the oil based on the standard quantity rather than actual quantity based on the weighing scale, because this is no use of weighing this kind of, it always goes by quantity. So what we did, this call it imagination. What we did, I knew during this review of the process that they keep the oil for 5 years to say to confirm the shelf life from every batch. Every new batch, when it is produced, they take 1 or 2 bottles, keep in the lab to examine the shelf life of the oil. I say, okay, now I got the oil which is in the lab. So I requested and collected almost 300 samples of various batches which were produced during the process, and then took the empty bottle, took out the weight, and we realized that every bottle has a variance, positive variance, means they are putting more oil in the bottle than the desired actual weight, between 5 to 15 grams, depending on the size of the bottle. Now, if they have packed 5 million bottles, so you can imagine the quantity. So, based on that historical data, we confirmed that company has lost oil from such and such period, because this problem started only since last 3 years, not since beginning. Because when we took the older samples, we found the quantity exactly what machine is supposed to fill in the bottle. So those 2 years figure we have to reject. For 3 years production, we multiplied with the average excess quantity based on the type of the size of the container, means 1 kg, 1 liter, 5 liters, 10 liters, something like that. And ultimately, we worked out the entire total quantity which they might have lost because of excess filling. And it came to your surprise, this was more than, I think, 120 ton or 111th and something like that. I don't remember the figure. Third thing, bulk oil sold was higher in weight than expected to be because the container which entered into the factory was higher capacity, but oil purchased half of the capacity of the container. When we went through all those other customers who had purchased the oil from the factory, we found a unique possibility. We made a unique observations. Other than this particular customer, all the customers are sending the container to buy the oil to its full capacity. Except this particular customer, he always sends the tanker which is of higher capacity but purchases lower quantum of oil. Like this, we develop the hypothesis and we examine them. So,
നോക്കട്ടെ, ഞാൻ പ്രത്യേകം പറയുന്നല്ലേ, എങ്ങനെയാലും ഞാൻ കയറാവും നോക്കാം കേട്ടോ.
I just another 5 minutes, I'll finish it. So, and similarly, the margarine which was packed, we also found that.
അരമണിക്കൂർ പോക്കാം.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So similarly, we found that margarine also which was packed is higher in weight, and we also worked out the total quantum of excess weight, and therefore unaccounted loss excess was much lower than what they have conveyed to us at the beginning of the. For example, when the margarine we took the weight, it was higher by 1.25%, and at the same time, the oil packing was higher by 2.61%, and this resulted in 1,600 ton, which was reduced from the loss claimed by the client. Now, if suppose we would have not done all this exercise, I can tell you, I would have really faced the embarrassment in the courtroom. And thanks God, because of our team's detailed work and visionary investigation, we managed to establish in the courtroom that how much actually they have siphoned out. Of course, there are a number of other areas which I'm not incorporating. I'm just insisting on one aspect, that developing hypothesis to explain you and how pragmatic you will have to be during investigation. Of course, we went into computer forensic, we did accounting calculations, lot of internal calculations. Ultimately, everywhere we found figures matching, except in the case of purchase of oil and dispatch of oil and consumption of oil. So when we established this, and this report was almost in 200 pages, but I'm thankful to judge. He took extreme level of interest, and in this particular case, I was allowed by the judge to explain before the trial begins, before my testimony begins, and they had given me one whiteboard where I explained the whole process and conveyed to the judge that unless you understand how this industry moves and how the production takes place, it will be difficult for you to understand the report. And later on, during the trial, there is a break. So he asked me to see him in his cabin, in his chamber, and he asked me to prepare a separate sheet of document to reflect the entire process, which was, of course, in my report, but he asked something different. And we prepared, and he was very much convinced, and ultimately, those 6 persons were found guilty. Now, telling you all these things is, the purpose of conveying all these things is to let you know that forensic accounting is beyond audit. You have to interview certain persons, you have to develop the skill of framing the questions, you have to develop the skill of asking the questions. You can never ask direct questions. You can never ask question which is close-ended. For example, suppose you are asking, did you receive the oil from the supplier? Are you the person in charge for receiving the oil in the container? He will either say yes or no. If he say yes, you have no other questions to ask. But the moment you tell him, tell me something, how you receive the oil from the suppliers. Now he is not in a position to tell you in yes or no. He will have to explain. The moment he explains, we will understand the thread. And then you catch the thread, ask another questions. So you have to be extremely careful while framing your questions for interview, and you have to prepare yourself. And you should not interview a person unless you have all the data. There are two types of interview which normally we conduct. One we call it admission seeking interview, another is information seeking interview. Information seeking interview is conducted throughout the investigation. The purpose is simply to gather information, more and more information, because sometimes, this is my personal experience, warehouse worker will tell you more than a person sitting in the finance. Because he is experiencing every day's activities, and nobody is stupid, take it granted. Everyone has its own story, but only thing is they are at a so low level, they are not to talk to anybody about what nonsense they have seen. So then we managed to find 3 Bangladeshi workers who conveyed the story outside the factory. We arranged a meeting out of the factory and conveyed the whole process, which matched actually exactly the way we were imagining through the evidence. So it gives us some sort of confidence that we are on the right track and our evidence tells us exactly what has happened. So that is our real satisfaction, or you can say accomplishment. When you prepare a report at the end of the day, you feel extreme level of satisfaction that you have accomplished the mission. You have found the real guilty person. And that's what I will suggest to all of you. And that's what I have experienced in this 16 years of my forensic practice. And I hope you must have enjoyed. If you have any questions now, this is your time to raise the questions. Babu? Anybody has any question?
I think
Let me check the question box whether there is any question or not.
so. I think there is no other questions except one in chat box. There is one, sir.
Yes, tell me what is the question.
Everybody asking for experience. Without getting an opportunity, how can claim having experience? Ready to provide even free service for getting experience. Your advice, sir.
Okay. I tell you one thing, how I started. When I started, when I came from Canada, at that time, nobody knew what it was accounting. And one of the partners of Big Four told me, who knew me personally, Mr. Kumar, who is going to engage you? You will be out of the job because nobody understands forensic accounting. I said, don't worry, the way I have seen the manipulation in big organizations, because I was in a multinational, I can't reveal the name. And I had seen that auditors used to come from India, they used to come from US, they used to check everything, but not the real thing which they should check. And they never used to catch the top ranking people who were involved in the manipulations or success of the money. That what forced me to leave Malaysia, leave my family in Malaysia, and go to Canada to do my forensic investigative. So then what I did when I came back, nobody was ready to listen to me. Fortunately, I established Mitchell and Associates, forensic division, and then I started public speaking. You won't believe. For 3 months, I have given more than 20 talks in Malaysia, at different parts of Malaysia. Then lawyers were the first person to recognize me. And they started calling me and they started giving me. So I broke the ice after 4 months. First investigations I did was pertaining to a car manufacturing company. Their headquarters was in Malaysia. And that was my success. That's how I started. And gradually, but of course, first 2, 3, 4 investigations, so happened my good luck. I never was required to appear in the courtroom. I started appearing in the courtroom after, I think, 4th year. And by the time I had enough guts to prepare my report with confidence and without any, 2 things I must tell you. I have a very senior lawyer in my team who is our external consultant. Whenever I prepare my report, I go and sit down with him and ask him to read the report, who is not involved in the case, to give his opinion to which extent my report is convincing. Currently, also, I'm doing the same thing. I have investigated one money laundering case involving Mauritius, and somebody hacked the accounts and transferred 16 million US dollar ringgit to Malaysia. And bank were sleeping, and those accounts where the money has come won't believe, a dormant account, and they received 16 million in tranches of 1.6 million, 1.8 million, and they never raised any red flag, and the person transferred all the money left and right. So I'm currently investigating. So that report has been prepared and it has been given to a lawyer, and I'm waiting for his opinion whether my report is convincing or not. If not convincing, where I need improvement. So he says, sometimes they give me very constructive information that, Mr. Kumar, this finding is okay. Here you change the language because it is a bit aggressive. So then we change the language of the report. That's how we improve. I must tell you, I have learned maximum from lawyers. The more you sit down with lawyers, the more you will learn. And I'm not hesitant to speak about one gentleman in India. His name is, he's a chartered accountant, he's a lawyer, Ashish Makija, one of the finest brain in terms of, as an accountant, I have seen, you might be knowing, I don't know how many of you know him. Babu knows him. Babu, do you know him, am I right? Any of you know him? Have you heard about him? Mr. Ashish Makija? No. He's a lawyer, he's a chartered accountant, and he's practicing lawyer. And he has, when I was talking to him, I really understood that he understands the core of this profession extremely well. Of course, that is, I'm talking about 8 years back, 8 or 10 years, 8 years back. So that's how you can, unless you commit mistakes, you review your report at least 3-4 times. Whenever I prepare my report, I personally go through at least 3 times. First, I go along with my subordinates. Then second time, I quietly read in my room. I make some amendments. Then third time, again, I read it before I send it to the lawyer. And when lawyer waits it, gives me waiting, okay, then I release for my client. Of course, it is a bit expensive, but you have to maintain the quality. And there is always a cost and revenue and balance you have to maintain. But that's what the practice demands. I'm very fortunate that I'm in this profession. It's highly challenging and highly creative, I tell you. Now, if you ask me to go for audit, I don't think I can ever go because challenge is there in this profession. This is really challenging, and you must love the profession, especially investigation, from mind and core of your heart. You can't work 8, 12 hours, 15 hours without having that kind of that kind of fire in you. Simply for money, I don't think people can work that hard. So that's all I have to say. Any questions you can ask. I'm very fortunate again, and I would like to convey my heartfelt thanks to all of you for inviting me and allowing me to convey my.
Jawan sir, there is one more question is there, I think. Just one more question in chat.
That is from the chairman of the Calicut branch.
Yes.
Could you give suggest the forensic course recognized worldwide because he wants to travel across the world? Dawood.
Yes, there is one course which is from where I have qualified. This is run by University of Toronto and Institute of Chartered Accountant of Canada. They are running this course since last 2000 and they started in 2001. I was the second batch in 2002, and this is recognized all over the world. At the same time, Institute of I think University of Monash, they are also running a master's program on forensic accounting. That is also quite well recognized and very well known. I must tell you, of course, the Institute of Chartered Accountant is running the program. Actually, it should be also by some elite university in India. Without having a full-fledged course of 2 years with research paper and all sort of things. Of course, now you have the various level L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, L6. And Institute is doing the right thing. But still, I believe that university, academician, and Chartered Institute of Chartered Accountant of India should form a consortium to run this full program. It may be, when we did in 2002, only for 2 modules, we were in Canada. Rest all the modules I did in Malaysia or in Brunei or from overseas where I was working at that time. So that is possible, that is then, it can be well recognized. Institute of Chartered Accountants, I tell you, brain of Indian Chartered Accountants are superb. In my company, all the Chartered Accountants who are working with us are from India. None of them are from anywhere. I salute Institute for the producing such a fine, intelligent Chartered Accountants. I must admit, and that's how I am giving so much of time in return, Institute.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
So,
anything?
we come to the last part of the session. Now it is time for voter thanks. Unless Baba sir wants to make some roundup remarks. Dayaji, I think, is held up there in Hyderabad for the exam-related work, getting clearance from the commission and all that. So thank you, Prabal Kumar sir, from all of us. Now it is back to Kottayam branch.
Joma sir, question answer or question Q&A.
That's all Q&A. Okay, Q&A, I'll just see. Yeah. Q&A, yeah, okay. I'm sorry, Q&A.
You can identify document as a forged when you as an auditor has never seen that the document never before in your life.
Okay.
How do you identify it?
Okay. There are a number of ways to which we identify the documents are false or false. Now, whenever you review a document, suppose you are reviewing the sales invoice. Now, if suppose there are 500 sales invoice or 5,000 sales invoice, don't try to review the whole document in one go. The right from top to end, if you review the invoices one after another, at the end of the day, you will get 0 observation. But if suppose you are reviewing only the date and the signature at one time, review the date and signature of all those invoices, you will find something very mysterious. Now, similarly, I give you one example. When this company had purchased the aluminum, which had never entered into the factory, how we identified the false invoice inside the bunch of invoices? We had about more than 300 purchase invoices. So when I started reviewing the signature of the lorry driver, because there is only one lorry driver who used to bring the aluminum from the designated destination, and that lorry driver used to work for the company. When I was only looking for the signature of the lorry driver in the delivery note, I found that at least 7 of the signatures were similar but not the same. I'm not the expert of signature, but naked eye can tell me that these are similar but not the same. I identified those 6 and took it out separately. The moment I saw them, then I started looking for the guard books. Where these entries are inside the guard book. You know, when the lorry enters into the factory, every lorry is recorded in the guard book. So we found that out of these 500 entries, these 6 invoices were not inside the guard book. So I was oversure that these are the 5 suspicious invoices. Then we started looking for other related documents and we identified. So what is my suggestion here? If you look for a document, look only 1 or 2 particular items. Don't have the eagle's eye view. If you like to see everything inside the document, you will find nothing in the document. If you are looking for date, look only for the date. If you are looking for the signature, look only for the signature. If you are looking for serial number, look only for the serial number. Never do all the things together. Yes, I know we are very intelligent, but not that intelligent to understand like computer. So we have to be slightly recognize our limitations, and I will suggest that that is the best way to overcome the problem. Yes.
Thank you, sir. I think Babu sir is back. Sir, you could make the closing remarks and then request Prem Sebastian to propose vote of thanks.
I think we have a wonderful session by Prabhat Kumarji. I think the case study part was a real feast, though it was come at the last half an hour. I think that was a best dessert for the afternoon lunch. Thank you very much. I think it has been, we could make out your hands-on experience on that, and
Thanks.
it was a very useful session.
I was
Over to Kottayam branch.
I'm also delighted to share my views. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Hari sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks.
Can you hear me?
Okay then, should I go now?
No, sir, please remain there. We have to propose a formal vote of thanks. Before that, here is a memento for you.
Okay.
Personal memento, which we will try to send it to you.
Okay.
Sadhu, please display the memento virtually, and then we'll send it.
Vimalji, in the meantime, Vimalji, are you in the practice? Mr. Vimal, are you in the practice?
Sir,
Sir, I'm in practice.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
sir, your memento here with your proof that you were in session here.
Thank you.
With the Navaratna 9 emblem, so it will reach you with a lot of love and respect and great gratitude from all of us.
Thank you.
Back to Kottayam. Chairman, you can take over.
Okay. Bye.
Sir, now our secretary, CA Prem Sebastian Anthony, will be giving the vote of thanks. Over to Prem Sebastian Anthony, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Respected Center Council members, CA Dayanivas Sharmaji, CA Babu Abraham Kaliveral, sir, our past chairman of Southern Division SARC, CA Jomon K. George, sir, dear faculty Prabhat Kumar, sir, respected chairman of 9 branches of SARC of ICAI in Kerala, my dear professional colleagues, a very good evening. As we go through the daily news, we can see a number of cases where forensic audit is relevant We can see cases where gold bars are missing. We can see cases where steel bars are missing from bridges, flood relief getting washed away. A lot of examples coming up every day. Now, today, our dear faculty from Malaysia has explained to us with his personal experience. Forensic is really interesting, creative, and gives us a sort of detective experience. On behalf of the entire team, let me first our dear faculty, Prabhat Kumar sir, for the very enlightening session. Thank you very much, sir. Now, we have very eminent Senate Council members, Dayanivas Sharma ji, who was the session chairman for the day. He had given a very interesting, very explanatory introduction to the topic. Thank you very much, Dayanivas ji, for the session introduction. I wholeheartedly thank our dear Senate Council member, Babu Abraham Kaliwale sir, for gearing the entire session, and the next, the master of the session, CA Jomon Keja, George sir. I thank CA Jomon Keja sir for the for conducting the session in a very expert manner. The team of 9 chairmen from various branches of Kerala have come together with an excellent idea. I especially thank the Palakkad chairman as well as the Ernakulam chairman for coordinating the session. Palakkad chairman for the concept itself. For now, I think various other branches in outside Kerala are coming together in the same manner with joint sessions. So, for the concept as well as magnificent presentation of the entire series of sessions, I thank all our dear chairmen. Then let me thank our Ernakulam branch for coordinating the entire session in an excellent manner. Then for the participation, I thank all the seniors as well as all my professional colleagues for their participation. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.